In the 17th century, an inspiring host gathered people together, the purpose to increase their knowledge through conversation. These gatherings were called salons. Guests would debate a topic for the evening, mostly books, then eat and drink tea. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second high tea with the VC, and today I would like to extend a special word of welcome to Mr. Mike Teke, a man who needs no introduction. Mr. Teke is the former chairperson of the UJ Council, but most importantly, he's a man of many talents. As many of you will know, he's a serious businessman, a serious entrepreneur. He's an author, and this is what has brought us together this afternoon to talk about his book, Mr. Teke, The Future of Leadership is in Collegiality. What a title. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not only an author, but he's a mentor, somebody who'd like to give back, who's passionate about mentoring young persons, and it's always an honor to listen to him speak. Another important point that many of you may not know, which makes him an even more special guest, for this get-together, is that he's a tea man, just like me. That he's a more special tea man in the sense that he's also a tea grower. And I'm sure many of you have noticed that there are different teas that are on display here. This is high-end tea that today you'll be introduced to. But before we get into the tea and the book, Mr. Teke, welcome. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. We do not take this for granted. Before we talk about the book, for me, tea comes first, I see this amazing packaging. Initially, when I saw this, Mr. Teke, I thought, have you brought us perfume? Do you agree with me, ladies and gentlemen? This looks like a packaging for perfume. It's not your typical packaging, isn't it? It tells you a lot about, already I'm dying to taste this. Can you please tell us more about this, Mr. I know you as a miner. That tea? That tea?
Okay. Yeah. What should I start? Talk about the tea.
Let's talk about the tea. We'll come to the book.
We'll come to the book. Okay, right. So firstly, let me introduce myself on the basis that, yeah, it's true. I'm involved in business. I run several businesses, and we are blessed as a family that we own those businesses. So my career started, and I'm known to have operated in the mining industry. But I realized over the years that you diversify, and there's a big debate that goes around. People would say to you, put your eggs in different baskets. I used to believe that you put your eggs in one basket and you look after the basket, So, but I've diversified our business portfolio as a family. We own the mining business. We shareholders in a company that I run every day. It's called Seriti Group Holdings. It's a coal business. And we're going into renewables now. That is why we talk about energy now, because going into renewables, we green energy. We've got a company called Seriti Green that's involved in wind and solar. We're building wind turbines in Mpumalanga. But beyond that, the family owns, we are shareholders in a company, in a financial services company called Anchor Group. It's an asset manager and wealth management business and stockbroking. We are shareholders in a company, several chemical businesses, NCS, CJP. We are into food chemicals, agrochemicals and the like. But one of the things that attracted me to this sector of food has always been, you've got energy and then you're going to have food security problems. And I wanted to play in food security. And we invested in citrus fruit, oranges. We are shareholders in a farming enterprise in the Cape, which is in citrus down, which is called Mouton Citrus. We're involved in a company called Southern Farms, which is grapes, berries, blueberries, dates, and grapes. And we are involved in alcohol, unfortunately. I call it unfortunately because I don't drink, so a lot of people get surprised. There is a brand that's called Belgravia. There is a brand that's called Whitley Nil. There's a brand that a lot of a certain community in this world love called Buffelsfontein Brandy. And quite a number of these assets, we're looking at others just to make sure that we strengthen our portfolio in that. But when it comes to buying into citrus, we were fortunate that when we bought into citrus, next to us there was this farm called, it's owned by the same family, the Mouton family, and they grow rooibos tea. And they decided that this brand must grow. So when you go to Discam, and quite a number of, you come across Carmine, it's a brand. That tea is owned by us. And this brand, then they came up with a new product called Liz Mouton Collection. Liz is the daughter to Mr. Mouton, and she runs this passionately. And we've got different types of flavors within this tea estate. And it's a great business that's growing. A lot of people are interested in this business. But then we are involved in renewables. We own a company called ARB. We are shareholders in that business. And there are quite a number of businesses in the Masimong Group holdings, and that's a family business that's owned by myself as the controlling shareholder. I decided to go that route, and I felt that when we were growing up in the township, we used to hear in the township people talking about tycoons, and that was a popular word, right? So you came across a guy who owned a corner cafe, or he owned a filling station, or 5 or 6 or 10 taxis. And it was my dream as a kid, and I'll tell you my background later, that I'd like to build an empire. I'd like to build businesses that are strong, that are sustainable, and that become a success in this whole economic sphere, whether in South Africa, Southern Africa, or the whole of the world. What inspired the whole thing? It's 2 things. I don't like chaos. I don't like chaotic things. And that's why I'm a stickler for detail. When I arrive at a place, if you look at the University of Johannesburg, I have problems with something called time. Time is a problem with me. When you said to me 2 o'clock, I'll be here at 1:30 for a meeting. You know, when I arrive at meetings, I'm the chairman, I'm the CEO, I'm the owner of these businesses. You'll be surprised that when you come to a meeting with me, you'll not wait for me, I'll wait for you. But I find with us, and when I say us, I'm talking about either black or South Africans, we've become so flippant about such things, and those are the things that build you as a human being. The second one for me that I'm serious about, it's discipline. I'm a disciplined person in that when I commit to doing something, and people who sat in a council meeting with me here in UJ, they know me very well. The meeting started at 4 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock we must be finished. Because I don't have time for flippancy. I don't have time. I joke with people. I laugh with people. I can crack jokes. I can tell you a joke now, and you'll laugh at it. But it doesn't mean it takes away the deep fundamental things that are going to make this country and this whole world a better place. So that's why my businesses, our businesses in the family, are driven by that success. And I make sure that the irritation is there every day. I walk around a lot. I irritate people about simple things. And most of the CEOs I come across these days are those CEOs who will tell you that, no. As a CEO, I'm a strategist. Yeah, I don't get involved in operations. Well, let me tell you, that's where you're going to lose the game. I don't lose the game because I'm everywhere. I irritate people. And that's where my life starts. And that is why when we're talking about this looks like a perfume, that's the detail that we drive. Everything must be packaged well. Everything must look good. And that's the professionalism, effectively. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Teke, as I affectionately call you. While still on tea, we'll go to the book, ladies and gentlemen. You know I love tea. This is high tea with the VC. I looked at this. You know, you've got different flavors. Lemon, chamomile, and lavender. And then you've got strawberry and cream. Oh, I never had. Is it cream? Yes, yeah, strawberry and cream.
Ginger, lemongrass, and
wow,
but
ginger.
Please don't smoke it.
and wow, it's incredible. And there are more flavors. Yeah. What is your favorite?
No, I only drink green tea.
Only green tea. Yeah. Only green tea. Wow, it's amazing.
I'm boring. You know, I drink green tea. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Yeah. I don't go to parties. Yeah. I wake up, when you want to talk to me at 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
I've got time for you.
Wonderful.
And I sleep very early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And those people who may be curious about this and would like to drink tea that is packaged like a perfume, I mean, by just looking at this, you'd say, damn, this must taste good. Without even trying it.
Yeah.
So those who may want to get hold of this, where can they get this?
Well, this thing is ordered online, obviously. We've taken advantage of the use of technology.
Yes, yes.
And if you go to Discam is generous with it. This is the sister brand.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Effectively. So if you want both of them, you'll find them there. But online, it's easy. Because it gets delivered efficiently.
Wow, sure. Wonderful. Right. Well, we're here to discuss the future of leadership is collegiality by Mr. Mike Teke, who's here with us.
Right.
This is about tea. We've got a freshly brewed pot of tea. Mr. Teke, I will serve you, but I want to hand over to you. You're a servant leader. I would like to hand over to you to tell us more about the book, and then we'll engage later. Over to you.
Okay. So, I'm not an author, guys. I'm an imposter. Okay, let's start there. It's like coming to certain things. I'm an imposter academic. I tried to come and work here as a chairman of council. I thought they would give me a doctorate for free, and they refused. They never did. We gave it to other people. But I'm not inviting you to give me an honorary doctorate. I won't accept it. And here's my message, guys. So, what made me write a book? I was raised in the world of corporate. I was well raised in business. I came through the school of graduation through Unilever. In South Africa, when you were in business, years back during my time, there were 3 companies you either came through. It's either you came through the Unilever school, or you came through the South African Brewery School, or any other. And I came through the Unilever school, and quite a number of great names came through that. And when you were growing up, and for young people who are sitting here, learn this lesson. You youngsters, 19, 20, 21, 22, you're going to start a career in the private sector and the public sector, but let's combine all of them. You learn in business that you watch your boss, right? You tend to watch your boss. You arrive at a place, there's a big boss, the CEO, he's not accessible, he's not available. You see him just walking past, he's in a lift. In other companies, actually, the CEO has his own lift to the last floor. You don't meet him. And then you see his car going out, either he's got a chauffeur and the like. You see him sneaking into the meeting, and he sits there, and they bring his papers, and he reads the papers, and then he disappears. Those are the senior people in the business. And we tend to watch those people. So when we were growing up, you tend to watch them as how they behave, how they speak, how they dress, what car they drive. And you aspire, you want to be like these people, yeah? And you tend then to pick up good traits from these people. If the person speaks well, is articulate, is a great speaker, you watch that guy and say, I want to be like that man. You know, how many black people today, they want to speak like Barack Obama, yeah? Because they saw him on TV, and he was an impressive orator, and he was the president of the United States of America. Some of them walk like him, right? So you tend to pick those habits. So what inspired me then was, hang on man, I mentor a lot of young people. And in mentoring the young people, there are young people who are open about their lives. There are young people who say to me, Mike, one day I want to be a CEO like you. I want to be an entrepreneur. They want names. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to be this. And I said, fine, I'll help you. We talk about these things. We have conversations. And that inspired me to say, I'm observing something here. People are picking up good and bad traits. And what do I mean by that? In the mining industry, there was a history in mining industry that when you came into the mining industry, there were expressions or words or language used. They would say to you, don't be a sissy. You know, you must be strong. You must be aggressive. You must, you know, don't take prisoners. And you behave that way, even if your personality is not that way. Yeah? You go to meetings, you watch somebody swearing. They use a swear word, the one that starts with the 6th alphabet, all right? And you think it's normal because it makes you macho, it makes you strong, you look like them. You become part of the team. You're not an outsider, you're an insider. And then the meetings start. When the meeting starts, you run these meetings I run meetings like an army general. And then, because your personality doesn't allow that, probably you were raised in a proper, decent family where your family speaks properly, you don't swear at people, you don't demean people, you are respectful. All those things happen. All of a sudden you change because you think success is based on how these guys do it. Because this man became a CEO, therefore I want to be like him. He wears a white shirt Monday to Friday, he wears a black suit, and you look for those things, right? I worked in an organization, and I mention it in the book, where people used to wear a white shirt and a vest inside. You'd see it. And guys started wearing it. Those who didn't have it, they went to buy it because the executives looked like that, yeah? Honestly, but it's not you. So and then it permeates your personality, and you are 20-something, and then you go to your 30s. And for me, the biggest thing is your health. That's important. Your health is important. So let's say you're a personality who's quiet, you're a humble person, you're a nice person. I was raised by a grandmother, Dorothea Teke, my grandmother. She was tough, she was a disciplinarian. I never had parents. My mother died when I was a little boy. And my grandmother taught me indirectly to be ferocious in your temper. My temper, I've got a terrible temper. Prof Marwala has experienced it. A lot of people have experienced it. But because over the years in my career, I have been raised by great people. The person who wrote the foreword to the book, there's somebody I mentioned in the book by the name of Philip Hechter. Those are the people who teach you quietly as your mentor. They watch you in the meetings as you behave, as you speak, and you do things, and they call you aside and say, Mike, don't do that. But I have that temper. I was born with it. Now imagine yourself here. You don't have a temper. You're a nice human being. Your parents raised you well, and your parents are alive, and they are civilized people. Probably at 6 o'clock you have dinner together, yeah? You come from that type of thing. And then all of a sudden you change your personality because you want to look like your boss. And you swear at people and you scream and it's not you, right? And suddenly you've got chest pains. And then one day you go and visit the doctor and the doctor says, something is wrong, your sugar is imbalanced, your blood pressure is not okay. Do you understand? Because you've changed your personality, suddenly you've become this aggressive, noisy person, you walk around the corridor. Because I want to affiliate, I want to look like them. Who are them? Those guys who are successful at the top floor. So I then said, how do we build success around this word? And I looked for the word and I said, just be collegial, all right? Talk to a person who works with you or who reports to you nicely. That these are my requirements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you don't deliver on them, we might have to talk something else and I'll exit you and I'll fire you. You don't go to people and say, use that F word and swear at people and I'll fire you. And no, just be simple, be nice, be decent. It's a skill that you learn. It's an attribute that you learn. It's a trait that you learn over the years. And over the years, I've learned that. I've learned to mellow. I've learned to be quieter. The lady who's standing at the door there works with me. So she can tell you that I do switch at times where I lose it and become the real Mike, right? And the real Mike is the one with a ferocious temper. And I've realized that where I am at my age, at my level, 1, be collegial, be decent with human beings, talk to people in a normal way. And if you want to fire them in a nice way. Make them not believe it, right? You know, you fire a person and say, are you serious? But rather than you swearing and throwing things, and the person has left, and you shut the door to your office, and you've got chest pains, and you're looking for water, and because you're doing something very uncomfortable. So then I talk about certain things in the book. I talk about ingratiation and fraternization. Those are 2 big words I talk about. Why? Because when you arrive, guys, you take a job, you start in a business. You're good at fraternizing. You have people who report to you, 10 people, 5 people, 6 people. All of a sudden, you become friends, right? And the first thing you ask, do you play golf? Yes. Can we meet after hours? Yes. There's a pub at work. We share at the pub. And you don't want, you know why? Because you guys want to belong. You want to be part of the clique. And that's where then, because you ingratiate and fraternize, it's now difficult for you to share a difficult conversation with anybody because you're friends, right? You fraternize, you ingratiate with people. That's a big lesson I taught myself, and I drew the line. The lady at the door can share with you. When I knock off at work, I have no friends. The people who work with me, I tell them up front, I'm not your friend. Okay, we work together. I don't fraternize with people. I don't play golf. I'm not a golfer. I don't go to pubs. And you invite me to your party, I won't come. The point I'm making is that lesson number one, remain yourself, be yourself. That is why I give you examples of, I'll give you an example about Steve Jobs. And I mentioned it here, where Steve Jobs was talking to one of the employees, and they had a fallout with a contractor. And I'm sure you know where he says inside in this book that, tell them that next time they want to do with us, business with us, they must not fuck with us, you know? But let me use that word openly. There are people in this room, you were raised in a family where that language is wrong. It's foul, right? Your parents, they will kill you if they hear you. But at work, you use it suddenly because you want to be part of the clique. You're one of them. But you're not comfortable. It's not you. There are CEOs who run companies. Carlsberg, one of the businesses I mentioned in the book. The CEO, when he arrived at Carlsberg, realized that the CEO didn't know people, the previous CEO. He didn't know who was who. Why? Because he left the ground floor. He had a private lift. It took him to the 20th floor. And when the new CEO came in, he said, no, I want to change things here. I want to walk around. I want to meet people. And you ask that lady at the door there, I walk a lot in my office. I walk almost every minute. I can't sit at the desk for more than 15 minutes. I walk. Why? Because I want to relate to people, but you are not my friend. I don't ingratiate with you. I don't fraternize. We talk business, we talk work, and that's it. I can talk to you about, we can talk shop, we can talk other things. We can talk about Liverpool and Manchester, but it ends there. I'm not going to say to you, I'll buy you a t-shirt tomorrow. No. We don't relate to that. Let's take another example. Richard Branson tells a good story in his book, and I took it in the book here. I like the story where he was going to a meeting one day, and he took his papers, and he jumped into a taxi, right? And he jumped into a taxi, and he was angry, and he was frantic going to this meeting, and the taxi driver was nice. And the taxi driver said, hey, are you Dick Branson? And he said, yes, I am. And he said, are you flustered? You look like busy. Relax, relax. And Richard Branson was getting really uptight about this conversation in the taxi. And the taxi, as it was moving, the guy said to him, listen, my mother lives around the corner. Can we go via and have a cup of tea, man? And I've got a tape recorder in my car. I want you to listen to my music, because Richard Branson then owned Virgin Records. And he was getting irritated. But the point I'm making about being collegial, Richard decided to hold back and didn't fight, didn't say anything. And they had a cup of tea, and he listened to the music in the car. And he was not the Richard Branson who would be brash and fighting the way he thought he would do. The point I'm making about being collegial, he said, let me accommodate, let me be reasonable, let me keep quiet. And guess who was driving the taxi? Do you know? Phil Collins was driving the taxi. That's how he discovered Phil Collins. The point I'm making, being collegial helps you, therefore, to be the leader you want to be the decent leader that people will look up to. When you do these funny things and throw things and swear at people, suddenly Professor Mpedi, the nice VC we appointed here, I was involved, all of a sudden he's walking the corridors, he's a tyrant, he's throwing things around and he's using the F word. He's not going to survive. He'll be diabetic in a few months. He'll be having high blood pressure. Very soon he'll be booked off because he's wearing the wrong personality. And that's me about being collegial, being nice, being decent. But it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you weak. And that's what inspired me to say, hang on, I must tell this story, I must write about this. I'm observing this thing every day. You know, I've seen young people we appoint in the mines, in the mining industry, to become a GM, general manager. 30 years ago, when you became a GM in the mining industry, I'm sorry, I'm going to use a word that, please, I apologize for. They used to call you became a god in the mining industry. You owned the mine. You had a driver. You had a butler. You had a swimming pool cleaner. There were general managers who used to walk out of their offices and stand, and the car must stand here, so that when the car, he must open the handle of the car and get into the car and be driven all over the place. You never messed around with the mine. He owned the mine. He controlled. And I use he because it was men only. They were tough. The game has changed. The game has changed. Right now, there are the most successful, one of the great successes in our mine, in our businesses, we own 8 mines. All our GMs are successful, are great people. One of the superstars is a lady, Nandi. You walk into the mine, she's all smiles, she's a young lady. And you'll be surprised, you switch off. Very collegial, nice, accommodating. But he's quick to tell you that we're working here. No time to joke. Quick. So I want you to be able to remain collegial, but don't fraternize, don't ingratiate. Be quick in telling people. I know some of you were born not to do that. You are not able. When people arrive at your house at the wrong time, oh no, don't worry. Let's have a cup of tea, but you don't want this person there. I don't have that sickness. I was raised properly. I'm able to say to people, you're not welcome here. I'm busy, I'm working. It's like people who come and talk nonsense at my desk. She knows we don't have offices. I sit at a corner. I'm sitting in an open plan. I don't have an office like you, Prof. Mpedi, but I sit in a corner. And I'm able to say to a person, I'm busy. I don't need your quick, cheap talk. Go. I'm quick. But I walk around. So you must be able to manage those boundaries. Or you remain collegial, you don't ingratiate, you don't fraternize, and don't lose that respect. And that's why I wrote the book. That's why I give you a lot of examples and people who taught me lessons. Now, the last one, and then I'll keep quiet. A gentleman called Philip Hechter, who was my great, great boss. He was difficult, really difficult boss. And he called me one day and we closed the door. In Merton, we were running Samanco Manganese. And he said to me, Mike, you've got the talent, you've got the skill, you understand the numbers, you understand the business. He used to say to me, you see around the corners. He said, you're good at seeing around the corners. I appreciate that. But I'm going to tell you some bad news. Stop being arrogant. Okay? He said, stop being arrogant. And I was humbled quickly, early in my life. And I'll tell you the story that made me become humble is that when I started in that company, the car I bought, I didn't buy because I wanted to buy that car. It's because when I arrived at Samanco, I saw a lot of BMWs. So everybody's driving a BMW. I bought a BMW as well. I wanted to look like them. I wanted to affiliate, right? And I noticed when these guys drive out of the mines, they drive these big BMW very fast. I drove fast as well, but I was very uncomfortable. It's scary, but you do something that you're not one of them, but you want to be one of them. So guys, the lesson is that. For me, is the future in terms of leadership is going to be people who are collegial, people who are nice, who are decent, who will be telling you nicely and disempower you in such a way that they will tell you that, listen, I've hired you, you're working here, I like you, you're a great person, you dress well, but you're not doing your job. And at the end of this month, you must be gone. I'm going to ask you to leave. Without any fear. And the person starts to say, are you serious? And I say, yes. So before I sit down, I must tell you a quick story. A quick joke, maybe. I'm not good at telling jokes. I notice people don't laugh. They laugh at me, actually. So this guy took his 3-year-old son to work. He went with his son to work. And when he arrived at work, he was a big executive. And the child started crying at work. He cried frantically. And the guys at the work said, please, let's make him keep quiet. And said, why are you crying? And he said, no, my dad told me that he works with clowns, and I don't see any here. Okay. So that's basically the book. That's the story.
Thank you so much, Mr. Teke. The book, ladies and gentlemen, The Future of Leadership is Collegiality, available at all the leading bookstores. I got mine. No, I shouldn't advertise other people's businesses. Maybe I should for you.
Maybe I should say this.
Yeah.
Guys, this book is not about money.
No.
It's for sale, of course,
Yeah.
but the money goes to a foundation called the Masimong Foundation, which does fantastic work. I don't want the money. I just wrote it for fun. And if anybody buys it and says, Mike is going to make money, I won't make money. I don't even know how much money it is. But whatever proceeds come out of this book, we donate it to Masimong Foundation. And one of the small things we do with UJ, I think Masimong Foundation does donate some money into your feeding scheme or something like that. But we look for students, we pay for bursaries and the like. That's the money, that's the way it will go.
Thank you so much. I got mine at Exclusive Books, and I read it, but I must confess I'm not through with it. But really, I'm hooked, So this is my own copy, Prof. Maria. So I would urge you to please get a copy. Mr. Teke, I poured you a cup, but I'm sure it's cold by now. This is just amazing. I can't get enough of this tea. I listened carefully when you talked, about, one must be yourself, especially as a leader. But I want to go one step back. I remember you were the chairperson of the UJ Council when a decision was made, and you gave me the good news. And I can tell you, the words you told me quickly after you told me, you said you got the job, and then the words you told me, I wake up and I go to bed with those words every day. And I appreciate what you said. You told me straight. You said, "Look, don't F this job." An important thing, many people would not tell you, would not tell you those things. But those words have to be said, And I can tell you, look, I know it's not about me. I grew up here at UJ, and it's partly because of who I am, but also those words. I mean, I see things that I never saw when I was DVC. I go for a walk and I pick up trash with my colleagues. Today I went for a walk with a few colleagues who are present here who were picking up trash. When I hear somebody reffing a UJ bucky, I look, I'm like, things that in the past I wouldn't pay attention. And it's small things that if we ignore, then things get out of hand. I read one chapter that I find quite interesting, and will take questions from the colleagues present here and also online. Is in one chapter you say something along the lines that collegiality, you talk about collegiality being misunderstood. And I would like you to elaborate on that. But personally, I liked what you said in there, and based on my interpretation, but you can really elaborate. And if I misunderstood the chapter, then we can straighten it up right away, is that there is a fine balance that must be drawn, To me, it's like the word wellness. When people being asked to do their job, they will tell me, you are messing with my wellness. And you say, look, you have a job to do. In the name of collegiality, you mentioned the danger, the benefit or the good side of collegiality in engaging with the stakeholders, colleagues to get their input, but also the danger of overdoing it, where at the end of the day, as a leader, you struggle to balance, between different views, and people may be feeling that our views were not taken into account, which is a tricky thing. But, I would like you maybe to share some more on that.
When I talk about confusing collegiality with other things, is number one, when I say being too collegial, it's when you gravitate towards being fraternal, or you fraternize with people, or you ingratiate. What I mean by that, you start saying to a person, can I take you out to lunch? Why do you take people out to lunch? Are you some dietitian or something? No. I always would say, no, I'm asking, don't be nice as in you give it away. Don't sell the farm, figuratively. The point I'm making is that if I say to be collegial, I'm saying when you sit with people, let's all be civil, let's be human beings. Civility is about sitting in a room. I have 7 direct reports, and I sit with them one-on-one, and normally I arrange it formally, at times it's informal. And then we'll talk about a specific subject, and I would say, we were supposed to do A, B, C, D. Why is it not done? And the person will tell you all the long stories. I have developed the skill over the years and the trait and the attribute. I'm skilled now and I'm proud of it. That is why I'm writing about it. I'm able to say, but listen, you haven't done it. And you're sailing close to the wind now. And I use that language. I must apologize. It's a lesson that I'm sharing with you. I use that. I always tell people nicely, and I'll say, you're screwing it up, buddy. And me and you are going to be crossing swords soon. I'm able to say that nicely. I'm not fighting with you. It's nice. It's different from somebody saying, oh, I'll fire you. Why are you pulling somebody in the corridors and you're embarrassing them? These people are human beings. These people are parents. These people have families. Just shut the door. Be nice with the person. But the point I'm making then, don't lose it and become too fraternal and start saying, okay, I'll come and meet your wife and your family. Why do you want to meet people's families? Because you feel bad that what you're saying might be wrong. I'm saying the skill you must learn, youngsters who are growing up, just create that fine, beautiful balance. When we show up at the mine in the morning, we arrive in the morning, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 7 a.m., you are able to say to the GM, right, on my agenda, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And the person says, okay, I've done this I did not do. You don't stand up then and start throwing computer at somebody. No, the point I'm making, be collegial, be nice and say, listen, but I asked you to do this, why is it not done? And we have a problem. Can we deal with it? And we deal with it. I remember a conversation, Prof. Mpedi. We were telling somebody some bad news here. And I sat with 2 of the colleagues in the council, and the way I had to do it, it took us less than 10 minutes. Because you don't have to be going around the houses and saying, I like your jacket. No, I'm not here to like your jacket. Let me tell you the news. But tell it in such a way that it's so collegial, the person stands up and say, thank you. And you shake hands and you leave. But at least I've told you the truth, right? Rather than saying, can we go for coffee? No. I'm saying be careful, create that fine balance, Professor. Create the balance between what is collegial, what is fraternizing, what is ingratiating. Don't tell people you'll take them out to a golf match. Let's go and play golf. I'll take you. No. Let me tell you the truth now. It's a painful truth. Let's talk about it now. And for me, it's that I call it you lance the boil, but in such a way that it's painless. And it's the lesson that the young people I mentor, I teach them, because you get promoted, guys. All of you, you're going to get promoted. You walk into this office, big glasses, you've got a PA, they give you the car, they give you the keys, they give you everything, and you suddenly think that I'm something special here. That's where Mike Teke comes in. Call me, let's sit down, I'll humble you. I'll humble you. Honestly, be careful, all that glitters is not gold. Mm-hmm. I'll humble you, I'll sit with you and say, it's a fine line, it's difficult. It's difficult. So that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please, if you have questions, are there any questions? There should be many questions. Prof. Cat.
So you made a good example. I think there's a world we live in, and I reflect on that world. Lesson number 1, it's the mirror. I always reflect on the story of the mirror, where you reflect and you stand in front of the mirror and say, thanks God I'm wealthy, I've got lots of money. Maybe Elon Musk type thing, So nobody can touch me. It's not about material things, right? Just put it aside. Lesson number 1. So we feel so powerful. That is why I said, you get given this big job and you become the CEO, and everybody says, are you aware that you are responsible for 10,000 people? Are you aware that you are a VC now? Everybody can listen to you. You misled. Something is misleading you. I am saying the lesson for you, step back, take time, look at the mirror and talk to that guy in the mirror. That's lesson. Lesson number 2 for me is, remember, I go to the mines. I watch people who operate a machine called a CM, a guy who never had probably standard 5, standard 6. He just has the experience of running this machine. I learned a lesson in my life, and that humbled me, that this man who operates this machine, when he goes home, he's called father, he's called brother, he's called uncle. Some of them are church leaders. Some of these people, where they come from, they are respected. And who are you to demean this person? I always look at myself in the mirror and say, who are you to think, I drive with somebody. He's my colleague, he's not my driver. But I'm assigned a driver, right? I can't be sitting with this man because every time we drive in the car, I always say, this man has a wife. He's got brothers, he's got sisters, he's got children. And who am I to be bossing this guy around, say 10 right there, 10 left there, and you effing what? I don't do that. The consciousness I'm creating for me and you now is, guys, step back. Those people you're retrenching, remember something, and you're telling them that the job is finished. They must go and tell this news, this bad news, to other people. This person where you become a cowboy, right? You are retrenched, you're fired. The poor guy must go back and tell a 3-year-old kid that there won't be bread on the table for the coming months. I won't have a job. I'm out of a job. We don't reflect on those things. And I'm glad that I have learned to grow up and reflect on them. Maybe it makes Elon Musk feel good, feel special to tell people at Twitter. You remember there's a story of a disabled person that he spoke to. He didn't know that this person was disabled, working from home. Would he be able to step back and say, I'm sorry, I apologize? He won't. Because it's embarrassing. You're a billionaire, you know? So the point I'm making, guys, let's create the awareness amongst us here. We lead. We're given responsibilities to lead. We have a right to lead. I agree. It's a privilege. But look at the mirror. Tell yourself, I shouldn't be doing this. And I've learned great lessons myself because I do it very well. I can be rude, I can be ruthless, I can swear like a trooper. But I've learned over the years that, let me share these lessons. These are painful lessons. You know, you swear at people, you get angry, you feel good, and then your left hand goes numb. It's like you're getting a heart attack, and you say, because you're a man, you were taught not to cry, you know. You walk quietly into your car, and you start your car, and say, whew, it's wrong. Why are you bringing this discomfort to yourself? Why? The world is not going to operate that way. Things are changing, guys, around you. That's my message.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Teke. Your message reminds me of a song by Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. Serious song where he says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If they want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Very deep.
I'm saying if we are factual in our approach to things, it clears things up. Where do I become a bully? If I said to Prof Mpedi, you promised me that this year we will have 50,000 admissions, and we are at 41,000, or we are at 60,000, and you fail to deliver. Can we talk about it? And we have a problem, me and you. Can you see? Where am I bullying a person? The bullying comes when the language is not a great language. We're forcing people into things that we shouldn't be forcing them. I'm saying let's be factual and tell people the story. That is why I use that word of being collegial. I'll give you an example. Emails. Somebody asked me an email. I mentor a young guy who's very bright. He's a very good entrepreneur. And he said to me, he's got a problem with his emails. Every time he writes emails to people, the responses are bad. And I said, can we read a few of the emails? And we read some of the emails, and he doesn't write emails well, and then his excuse is, yeah, but English is not my first language. You know, it's these emails where he doesn't use things, please, kindly, thank you. You know, it's like, you didn't do this, and it's very bullish. As you say, it's bullying that comes with it. And people then respond in the same way. And then he gets offended, right? And I said, okay, let's try a lesson where I said, when you write an email and it's late at night, maybe it's 8 o'clock and you are angry about something, write the email, don't press send. Okay? Leave that email, go to bed. And then you'll read it in the morning and see as to whether maybe your tone has changed, you'll find. And he comes back and he says to me, you're right, it feels better now. The very emails I was sending to people in an aggressive manner, they came back with aggressive responses and they were offending me. And then we were fighting. It's email to email. We're playing table tennis now. My message is, nobody's going to call you a bully if you're factual. Not unless you have a problem with a bully, himself or herself. Nobody. I have tested this and I find it with people who work with me. And the aim is not to disarm people. I'm able to prepare my facts right. I'm able to say, this is the conversation, this is the story, this has not been achieved by the organization. And I think you are aware that this conversation is not going in the right direction, right? And the person starts to say, yeah, I can see. Rather than saying, I'm going to fire you. You're the worst type of employee I've ever come across on all the... No. We talk about these things. I want people to start building conversations. And that's how we're going to lead for a long time. And if you have time, I want you to go and read a book by Wes Moore, W-E-S Moore. Wes Moore is the next big thing in the United States of America. He's the governor of Maryland. He's young, 44 years old. He's just taken over as the third black governor of Maryland, Baltimore. Go and read his personal story, and you'll be fascinated. But the man has got an amazing CV. And he's the next big thing, far better, 10 times better than Barack Obama. He's black, go and read about it, and you'll see. Nobody's going to call you a bully if you have your story here. And I've learned that, and I'm sharing it with these young people.
Wow, that's deep.
I'm a preacher for a strong work ethic. Guys, what's going to kill us as a country is a poor work ethic. I'm really cynical about it. I'm worried about that. A work ethic beats everything. We need a powerful work ethic. And when I mean a powerful work ethic, I'm not saying 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Then at 4 o'clock you or stay here until 8 o'clock at night, and then you'll be sitting in front of your computer waiting for your boss to leave first. Then after they've left, then you sneak out. Tozama, that's what they do, right? I'm not saying that. You are not weak when you're collegial. In fact, you disarm a lot of people. You will disarm them. Try it, you'll see how it works. Be able to say your speak in such a way that it's respectful, you deliver the story, it's factual, and no temper. You don't sweat, you don't get angry, your heart rate doesn't change. You're just humble, but you tell the person the truth. It's like ending a friendship or ending some relationship. You don't fight, you don't write WhatsApps and messages. Teach yourself. Guys, I know it's painful. It's painful, it's tough. Try and cross that line. I've learned it and it works. You know the conversations I have. I'm a chairperson of several companies. I've got CEOs who report to me. And I've got CEOs people who would like to, let me try this and see what Mike will do. And I'm quick to jump into my car and I'll sit with the person and say, I've observed this, it's not happening the way it should be happening. But you must know that there are consequences. Next time things may change. Does it make me weak? No. And you stand up and you walk out of there, you can feel it that I'm relaxed, I'm fine, it's a tough lesson, but guess what? I've disarmed this person. Not disarmed because they were going to fight, but because I was going to be temperamental and throw things and get angry. No, just being factual. Guys, try it, you'll see it works. If you want a great career, you may end up being a good CEO, 40-something, 50 and the like, and then when you retire at 62, you fall over, or you become demented. And people ask your name, you've forgotten your name at 61 or 62. Because you lived this miserable life that I want to be like them. They behave like this, they dress like this, they go to rugby on Saturday. And you've got a beautiful, loving wife. You even leave her behind because you want to please your friend. And you can't even pronounce the words at rugby and you don't understand it, but I want to be part of them. I want to be one of them. Guys, be careful. Be careful. The future of this leadership is going to be those leaders who are shrewd, who are smart enough, who speak well, who articulate, who have facts on the table, and they run just great organizations. I don't want to mention names of CEOs, but there are CEOs in this country who impress me immensely. Immensely. And you look at them and you say, this guy look weak. But boy, oh boy, the organization is humming, making money, creating value, growing, successful. And those are the guys who produce the results. But they are like sheep. They're nice. Anyway. So you mentioned several things here. One, it's the whole story of being assertive and being aggressive. Other people tend to confuse those two. Number two, I've seen a lot of people who address people, and especially when you address a group of people, then you get somebody behind who coaches you and say, make sure that you drive your point home. And so is sitting there, he's going to fight and bully you. I find you disarm people by exactly that, emotional intelligence. Being smart enough of what is my story? What am I telling people here? Am I telling people the truth? Can I defend my story? And I was talking to a young lady who I mentor, and she told me a funny story. She said to me, and you laugh at this, she said to me, Mike, doesn't this not come with good-looking people? So if you're good-looking, people have a tendency of, they like you, they listen to you, but if you're not an appealing guy, people tend to get irritated with you because they want your face out of the picture. For me, that's not the issue. For me, you disarm people by being assertive, not aggressive. But guys, as a young generation, you're a young leader. Spend time on emotional intelligence. Spend time on avoiding this aggressive nature of things. Spend time on using words. Just that would make people feel like this guy is engaging me. But you're telling them the truth. You're telling them the truth. And the truth hurts. In most cases, the truth is hurtful. It's like somebody who comes into this office and you say to them, by the way, we don't wear T-shirts here, we wear suits and ties. And you're skirting around and saying, can we go out for coffee? Can we organize a committee that will deal with dress code? No. Instead of closing the door and sitting with a person and saying, by the way, we don't, in this organization, you are an unfamiliar face here when you dress like this. You wear a suit and a tie, you look like a human being. The types of human beings who operate here, this is how we do things. I know it's difficult, I know it's tough conversation, I know. The last example I'll give you. I've worked with somebody who was troubled by alcohol. I worked with somebody who was troubled by drinking. And they were smart enough to say to me, no, today I'm not here, I'm going somewhere, and I knew that something is not right. And my confrontation was twofold. It's either I become very aggressive and say, I hate this, I don't like this, and I'll fire you or put you on a disciplinary hearing. And the conversation ended nicely, where I said, I think you have a sickness, you have an illness, and I need to help you. Can I help you? And the person said, I think so. And it didn't stop, and we ended up parting ways. But the point I'm making is that we tend to play around people. And then it leads to you gossiping about it, because it makes you feel good. And you're telling everybody other than the person, say, do you know that this guy is always drunk? But tell the person. Tell them. Guys, teach yourself. You're the generation that's coming. How old are you?
31.
Yeah, you are the generation that's going to lead this country. Build a great work ethic. Build teams that are coherent. Build organizations that we're going to be proud of. That's the leadership we want. You know, that's a good point. That's a good point you're raising. I've come across situations where there's a book that was written, I'm sure, that Generation Leads, where
Yes.
I took 20 young people I mentor. I took them and I said they must write chapters on a book, a chapter on a favorite leadership story they want to tell, and the book was published by UJ Press. I was not the author, I was just the coordinator, and I asked a guy called Muzi Kuzwayo to edit the book. But I learned something of interest, that there are people who deserve the truth, you know, but we won't be able to tell them the truth, and it's your case, right? I am shutting my eyes now and saying, if you sat with your boss and said to your boss, is he male or female? Male. Yeah, let's say you sat with him, male. Yeah, so, no, guys, let me tell you something. This is deeply fundamental, it's important. And I must tell you a funny story. The whole race issue as well tends to cloud things. So the editor of this book said to me, we must remove politics and race, and we removed it. This book would have been very big, and we removed some of the things. My wife tells me a story. She wanted to paint a house, and this guy came in, and she gave a quote to my wife about the painting of the house. He doesn't know my wife, right? And my wife rejects the quote. They speak over the phone. So this guy jumps into his car, he goes to my wife in Devon. At our place, we've got a small place in Devon. So he arrives at my wife's side. He uses the F word. You better effing take this coat. You wasted my time and all that. My wife said, okay, sit down. Let me tell you something. You're being a white male with a white male superiority complex, and I look like a domestic worker to you. That's the story my wife tells me. You must understand that your coat is wrong and it's overpriced, and the best coat is this one. So whether you come here with your white male superiority complex and to tell me what I must do, I'm sorry, out. And this person cried and started telling my wife that he's a Christian, you know, he reads the Bible. The point I'm making is that there are opportunities to disarm certain people. And please don't, I'm not attacking white male. It may happen to be a black male because you think that it's your time as a darkie. The darkies have arrived, you know. Do you understand? I believe you have an opportunity here to start a 5-minute school with your boss. And say, you know what, I was sitting listening to somebody at UJ, we were talking about this word. We were talking about collegiality, me and this person, I attended this session on a Friday. I observe you. Is it comfortable what you do? Or are you uncomfortable? Or is it your nature? Will you change? Because us as a team may not be benefiting and may not be that productive because of your behavior. Would that work? Or will you get fired? Exactly. The second part would be, maybe you should invite him to say, there's somebody who would like to talk to you. And I don't profess, I don't make myself a preacher or something, but I believe in my own small way, I will change this world. When I took the position to be at this university, I was invited by Iron 100 years ago to come and sit on the council. I said to myself, maybe one starfish at a time, you know, I'll make a difference. Maybe you should invite me. I'll have a conversation with him. Just get it for him for the birthday and say, hey, buddy, and it's not about buying the book, you know, it's just about the discomfort. And you write, all of you here, what's the most miserable thing that you sit at a dinner tonight? Or last night, you're sitting at a dinner, it's you, your wife, or your husband, your children, you're having a dinner. What do you think about at a dinner? I'm sure 90% of you think about your bosses. Yeah, your boss maybe long horns, carrying a machete, chasing you. That's what you think about. At the traffic light, I see people talking to themselves in the car. Probably they're talking about their bosses. Or they are bosses, they're just not comfortable with what is happening in their lives because they've got uncooperative subordinates, uncooperative team members, and they don't understand why. I'm asking you guys, my message is simple. Togoza, oh, she's gone. I thought I would catch her. Guys, teach yourself. I'm not saying be meek, be weak, and hence sell the farm. Remember that theory? Don't sell the farm. Just be decent. And I'll give you a right example about what you're talking about. So, some people would say, I'm frustrated with my workers. They do that, yeah? I'm frustrated. What's wrong with these people? Exactly. But have you ever gone to a mirror and say, what's wrong with me? Maybe something is wrong with me. You know, maybe these guys don't trust me, they don't like me, maybe I'm not a great leader, maybe I'm an imposter. Have you ever crossed that on your own? I don't think we do that. But I wish you well. Take one of those 2 steps and call me. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much for all the questions and participation. I'm afraid to have arrived, at the end of this engagement. I wish there was more time. Mr. Teke, do you have any words of encouragement for that young boy growing at a village or young girl growing at a township? I know you come from Guatemala, or even from our suburbs, There are dreamers that may be watching, and those that may watch this video later on, and say, I heard it from Mr. Teke.
So for me, guys, I grew up in a township called Guatemala in Springs. My mother died when I was a little boy. I know of my father, but I don't want to venture into that story. So people ask me, why don't you want to talk about your father? I always say, let's assume I went around looking for my father and found him. I know of him, and I found him that he was very rich. What is he going to think? I want his money, right? And what if I find him poor? Then I'm in trouble. So let sleeping dogs lie, right? Leave it. Yeah. So I was raised by this tough grandmother, Dorothea Teke, my grandmother. I love her dearly. That is why the family business that holds all these businesses, it's called LDI, Lady Dorothea Investments. Go to the banks, people know about LDI. It's a big business, it's a decent business. What has made me who I am, it's one word called grit. I'm a fighter, I fight. I don't walk away. Not physically. I fight for my things. I fight hard. And half the generation I'm meeting today, black, white, green, I find you guys, you walk away quickly. I find you, all of you, you are lightweights. You are weak. You just despair, and then you become violent, and then why is this not happening for me? And then you join groupies, and then you throw things, and figuratively and literally. Guys, don't be that baby that toys the toys out of the cot. It's about grit, one word. Fight, guys. This world is not your friend. It's a tough world. It's peaceful, but it's a tough world. So my ask to you, those who are in your second year, courses are not going well, the tests are 51, 58, 53, fight to go into the 60s. I know there's a 27-year-old professor here, Professor Bazunzenze here. You're 27, right? You're going to fight hard. One day, you're going to something very big. And I want these young people here to know people like you. I fight, guys. I knock at different doors. Am I desperate? Am I aggressive? No. I'm a humble township boy. 3:45, I'm up in the morning. I go to the gym. 4:45, I take a shower. 5:15, the car is outside. If the car is not outside, the driver knows the noise that I'm going to make. 6 o'clock, we start, the systems run. By 4, when I run on the treadmill, I send you WhatsApps. I send probably 27, 28 WhatsApps in the morning. I'm a stickler for basic things. Tozama can tell you, I complain about somebody who leaves a banana peel, not putting it in a dustbin. I'll chase you. I'll chase you. That is why I get frustrated when I see businesses like they say, the post office is in liquidation. This business is not working. I believe those organizations can be turned around, and no organization will fail as long as I live. Young people, you've got to fight, guys. This is your country. So that's my message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Teke. Great fight, and no entitlement, if one could add, and so on. Really, it's a deep message. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this was really an amazing, enlightening engagement. Thank you so much, Mr. Teke, for setting time aside. I mean, I was thinking you have done a lot of things, and you are doing amazing things, and you're going to continue to do amazing things. I think we are fortunate to have you here to engage with us, in this auditorium and also online. Often in life, we go to people who have done nothing, and I always use this analogy of a poor man promising another poor man to make that poor man successful, while that person is not successful himself. Today, and I'm not talking about success in terms of material things, but I'm talking about the experience. It's amazing, and it's great to learn from somebody who has been there, who is there, who's doing things, and we do not take this for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, this engagement would not be possible or successful without your engagement. This is the second high tea with the VC. There will be many more. Please continue to support us. We don't take your support for granted. We really appreciate it. And I say this to those who are present in this auditorium and those that have joined us online. After this would not be a high tea without tea. So there's high quality tea. For me, tea has to be really good quality tea, and I'm blown away, Mr. Teke, by this tea. I love it, and I'm going to hunt it, look for it, and to add it to my collection. And of course, the collection that I consume. Not just to watch and look at it and say, this tea looks like perfume. Ladies and gentlemen, there is tea and lots of cake to be enjoyed, so we thank you. Please join us again. There will be another one next month. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
The University of Johannesburg, a future reimagined.